Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Here we go again, folks. World War III, nuclear holocaust, and the sacrifice of human lives for other people's political agendas. That's where we're at. It's part of it. Did you get distracted by all that President Trump stuff? Well, of course you did. Did you remain focused on other things as well? Well, of course you did. You're not an ignoramus like the powers that be hoped you would be. Folks, we see all of this stuff, and it's hard to forget it all. Now, of course, yeah, they give us something new and exciting to talk about at least every 72 hours, at least. I mean, Uman is absolutely correct there when he says, hey, right? They're just distracting us, of course. But the intelligent mind keeps all of this, well, in mind. So we can go right back to it and say, yes, remember that war called the Ukraine war against Russia? Well, they're stepping it up, folks. Absolutely stepping it up. The other day, it was reported, and I can't remember if I mentioned it in passing because it appears to be a small escalation, but it's really not. The United States and the West is sending, wants to send, is thinking about sending, may send, but probably will send anti-artillery shells or anti-tank shells that are filled with depleted uranium. Depleted uranium. Because those types of shells are very, very useful in defeating modern armored vehicles. Depleted uranium. You would think they could come up with something that does the job a little better, but let's use material that is radioactive. And it's low grade radioactivity, but it's still a mess. So the U.S. wants to do that, and essentially, because of how these things are made, it's not just a big lump like a big rock of uranium. It's fragmented. It's the equivalent of a dirty bomb, a dirty radioactive bomb. It's not an atomic weapon with a mushroom cloud that way. It's not going to explode and be like some thermonuclear device. But it is a dirty radioactive bomb. Now, the reason this is so bad is because we've already got a war zone. We've already got people dying. And now, right, they're risking destroying the environment in Ukraine. And Russia says this is tantamount, right? The next step is going to be using nuclear weapons. You can't get much shittier than what they're at, is what they're saying. So, escalation, you bet. Escalation, it's happening. World War III, and World War III already has started. It's just a matter of how many teams are going to get on the field, and are they going to use their best players? And how many people have to be sacrificed? That's the big question. To end this war, how many people are going to have to die? That's the question with every war, is how many people have to die before it's over? These fucking people. So Russia, folks, turns around and says, well, if you're going to send depleted uranium to Ukraine, then we're going to do the same. I mean, did the people at the Pentagon, who, by the way, are the same dumb fucks who think that 7-year-old children can make gender reassignment surgery decisions for themselves at age 7? Yes, Pentagon doctors Literally, Pentagon doctors have said that 7-year-old children can make that decision. Yeah, and 7-year-old children can push buttons on nuclear launch pads too. Does that mean they should be making those kind of decisions, or that they're competent to make those decisions, or they understand the long-term, short-term, mid-term ramifications of making such decisions as pushing nuclear bomb weapons buttons? Oh, yeah, idiots at the Pentagon. Of course, Russia is going to say, well, if you're going to do that shit, we're going to do that shit. Where are all the environmentalists? I thought we're supposed to save the fucking planet by decarbonizing. But let's take depleted uranium, and instead of safely storing it and then burning it, because they have new small modular reactors that can burn depleted uranium all the way down to nothing, it seems. No. Let's use it as a weapon and pollute the ground. Let's create a dirty, radioactive nuclear environment. I mean, they scream and yell about Fukushima. They scream and yell about Chernobyl. They fearmonger about 3 Mile Island, and then they do this shit. Folks, it's fucked up. We're all on the table. They think all of us can be sacrificed. No problem. Well, the sacrifice, folks, how many people have to die for someone else's political agenda? Well, the city of Bakhmut is being fought over as if it's Custer's last stand. The city of Bakhmut, guess what? It is falling to Russia. And yet another decisive battle, war zone, whatever you want to call it, Russia is defeating Ukraine. I think it's like 10,000 soldiers are inside, 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers are inside, and they've essentially been cut off. They are, I think, almost completely surrounded by the Russians now. I don't report that with glee or happy satisfaction, because people inside that are going to be slaughtered. Well, unless they forfeit, give up, surrender. Well, I wonder in Ukraine if you're allowed to surrender. You know, you're not even allowed to criticize their fearless queer. I want to make the joke, but I'm afraid I'll get in trouble for it. You know, queerless leader, because he's not. He's totally that. A little light in the loafers, skinny jeans wearing fruitcake of a leader, Zelensky. Where is he, little Mr. Fearless Man? Nowhere to be seen. If he were to put on his little green woolly pulley sweater and go out to the front line with an AK and hunker down with the troops and rush through the woods at the Russian line and try breaking through, right? If he would engage, sure, then he's a fucking leader. You know, if he's going to be a MacArthur or a Patton, fine. Then he can claim to be some sort of leader. He's not a fucking leader. He's a shakedown artist and a puppet. And he's willing to sacrifice, folks, thousands and thousands more at the behest of his political masters who have a political agenda. Do you see it now? There's a difference between fighting for politics and fighting for freedom. Fighting for your rights as a human being to live versus fighting for someone else's wealth, someone else's dreams of conquest. There's a big, big difference. Huge difference. I can justify fighting for freedom, fighting for one's dignity and one's own life. But fighting to make some little punk rich, to make some old fart even more powerful, you see, that's where I see this as absolute evil. I see this as absolute evil, because that's exactly what is going on here. People are being sacrificed for other people's wealth and power and thirst and agendas. They're not fighting for freedom and protecting Ukraine. They're fighting because they're being forced to fight. And now they're being sacrificed because of the poor decision making. And the entire country of Ukraine is being put at risk of becoming a wider war zone because they keep losing. And so the West ups the stakes. We're going to send in tanks. We're going to bring in jets. We're going to bring in depleted uranium. We just need to use a couple of nukes to make our point. Well, here we are, folks. Here we are. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Godspeed. Semper Fi.